steadily it rises. Public preference for Lincoln Continental as the symbol for today's luxury motoring.
Hey, it's Jason ODB, the Lincoln Addict, and I've been away for a few days at a car truck show in Maggie Valley, North Carolina, and I wanted to swing back and talk about some of the movement that we've seen on the Lincolns, and then we'll jump into a review of this 63 that just recently ended. You probably saw from the thumbnail which car I'm talking about. But here's a couple of quick updates. So this 66 that had the restoration from Baker's, I had guessed that it was going to go between 60 and 65, and it came very close to that number, so it ended at 56,000. I think someone got a great deal on this car. They're going to really enjoy it. After that, the next 60s Lincoln was this custom car, 52,000, a very, very strong number. My guess was, I think it was like mid-30s, where I was guessing that I was going to maybe do like 35 to maybe 42 in that range. And I wasn't able to watch this one kind of end and see that the bidding jump up. But if we scroll down here, it will kind of reinforce the price. And I don't know that we can go back. Yeah, 33 bids. I don't know that we can go back and see how they jumped up. But if you're ever watching one of these auctions at the end, you'll get a chance to see how it does that. And yeah, I think it just shows that right there. Oh, right here. Excuse me. So yeah, you can see where it started bumping up on the 18th. Around 36K, and then boom, when it hit 42 at 110, it quickly jumped up within 7 minutes to 48,000. I thought it was here. And then 7 minutes later, it went for 52. So it really bumped up. And something to keep in mind is, if you think about this, this is a 68 Lincoln Continental sedan, a very nice car. We went through this review. Now, the gentleman by the name of Buck, his 67 sedan, which I do want to say one thing, I do stand corrected. My understanding is this was the factory seat, so my apologies. That's something I learned, so thanks for anyone that had called that out. But this car had went for 28. It did not meet the reserve. This is a super nice car, but it just kind of goes to show you, more than likely, these guys here probably got this car at some point for a pretty good deal. They did the air suspension, the wheels, kept it kind of a moderate custom, and you could see where the price, again, very, very strong. So we'll have to see what Buck's car ends up doing, if he does anything else with it. But those are a couple that I wanted to share recently. And then you fast forward the 18th to the 23rd, and you have the 63 Lincoln Continental Convertible. Now, I had looked at this one, and I didn't have the time to kind of go through and do the review, if I remember correctly. I had looked at it, and here's a few things that I want to point out to you if we kind of look down here at the bidding. So you got to look for the yellow. So on the 23rd, it sold for 70K, which is a very strong number. And you can see here that was at 113. If we scroll down here, it looks like the bidding really started bumping up about 1 o'clock. So it went from 56,000 in just 15 minutes or so, give or take, to 70K, which is a very, very strong price. The few things that had pointed out, I don't believe this was an original black car, and they kind of go through that in the comments. But I don't want to do a full review on it. This is kind of more of a quick update on what we've seen. But rest assured, when you look at this one, there are some imperfections. There's little things that you would maybe point out. The thing that I would tell you, and I've kind of reinforced this one, even kind of when you look at the top, it doesn't look like a perfect car. But anytime you're looking to get into one of these cars, whether it's now or 5 or 10 years down the road, the points that I make here on the channel are really aimed at someone that may not know a lot about cars, or maybe you do and you don't know a lot about Lincolns. Now, I've certainly always said I'm not the utmost expert in the world, but I continue to learn, often making corrections as I did earlier, but I certainly like talking about these cars. You could see there were some things here with, they had capped off the 3-port, obviously running a electric fuel pump and things like that. So again, the car certainly wasn't perfect, but this is a car that you could certainly get and make a lot nicer if that's what you want to do, or just kind of bring it up to speed a little bit so that you can drive it. The other thing that had stuck out to me was it does have the single reservoir, which you can see here. And again, just to be clear, I have to remind myself the single reservoir was used up until 66. I had a 67 sedan, and I always remember it having the dual, even though 66 was very similar to the 67 model. The 66 came with a single reservoir as well, as far as my understanding. But as you guys know, I always reinforce the importance of changing that. I wish I had seen this earlier instead of first thing this morning, so I could have driven down to see it in person. It's a car I want to add to my collection in the color combo. So I think that is kind of a good comment that sums up. Oftentimes, people miss out on these cars, and they kind of say, hey, I really want to get one, and you end up having to wait till the next one, and typically you can find a nice one. I was just kind of looking to see here what else. This was Satellite Beach, and if we go down to the comments, you can see right here where the guy says, as I previously mentioned, I had the color changed to black from a cream yellow. I'll have the suspension parts inspected, and if there's any issues, we'll correct. Regarding the color, I believe you should make it the color that you like, unless not an original Lincoln color. So, there's often decent discussion in here about different things with these cars, and I often like to look at the comments, see what people are asking. If you are in the market to potentially ever sell your car, certainly look at what the questions are that people are asking. You could see oftentimes folks are going to come in here and they're going to ask, the questions that oftentimes like I'm commenting about here. Look, there's the auto drop, the door opened, it dropped, it closed, and it went back up. These are things that, whether you're a shop that sells cars or you're potentially, down the road going to sell one, these are videos that you can take of your car, and it's going to help. A lot of times people don't maybe have the resources or time off to go and look at these Lincolns or any car that you're looking to buy. I totally get it, but listen, $70,000 is a lot of money. I mean, $10,000 is a lot, right? So you don't want to buy something that you regret, and that's something that I try to always reinforce here on the channel. I don't believe that I did a review on this one. I think I went through it like I was going to, but I didn't have time to edit it together. But if I did, great. If I didn't, this gives you kind of a little bit of an overview, kind of repeat there of one of the videos. But they did show photos underneath. It was kind of hard to tell if there's really anything going on. It looked pretty solid. This is that normal textured kind of undercoating, if you will. A lot of times this can look good, and there can be some things up in here, but this just looks like the normal discoloration, light surface rust, if that's what you want to even call it. Typically these cars have this look right here if they're nice. If they're rusted out, you'll see a lot of times this gets real crunchy in here. And it's not the end of the world if a floor pan has to be replaced or just a little section, but if something, as I've always said, is totally rotted out on one of these cars, you start to get into a position where you're going to have to spend some money with a paint and body shop, fab shop to do some things. But again, when you look at it, being that it's repainted and it's black, my biggest thing that I would want to know is what's underneath it. Was there any Bondo? Was there any damage? And when the deck lid is open, you can kind of get in here with a flashlight and really look in the quarter panels to see, is there any kind of craziness going on down here? If there is, it could be repaired if that's something that you're in the market to do. And if you're like, hey, no, I want an original car, maybe the color change turns you off. I could see the hubcaps, they look a little bit, beat up. not the end of the world. You can kind of source those usually for a couple $100 for a set of 4 if that's what you really want. There are places that'll take the dents and dings out. A photo like this, to me, doesn't maybe show a lot because it's kind of blurry. It looks like an older cell phone photo. What it does show is that the bumper was off and there was maybe some sort of work being done to it, possibly the paint. Obviously, the rear bumper looks like it's off as well. That can give you a little bit of indication to, hey, were the bumpers sent out? Was it just during the restoration and things like that? So those are things, even if the photo isn't great, again, it can still give you a little bit of insight. Looking down here, oftentimes I'll look to see if there are any wires hanging. That sometimes is an indication of either aftermarket stereo or someone's ran maybe a jumper wire to try to fix something. You can see this little piece here is missing. It tends to fall off on my 65 as well, and it kind of has these little tabs on the back. Those are things that you can typically source, but what I would tell you is the things that are often misplaced or lost, especially during a restoration on these cars, are some of the pieces that are getting harder and harder to find, and they can become more expensive. This hubcap looks really nice. So again, not saying that the hubcaps all looked bad, but in that one photo, the one side did look like it had a little bit of dents and dings in it. But it looks like it's got the Florida plate, which we saw. It was in Satellite, Florida. And whoever got this car, I'm sure they're going to enjoy it. $70,000 to me, in my opinion, is a very, very strong price for even a convertible that maybe isn't in really, really, really good condition. It's desirable because it's black, and so many people, I'm not going to say the word everyone, so many people want a, quote, black Lincoln, and that's fine. But to me, if you're going to spend, $50,000 plus, you're going to want to start kind of going up the notches in terms of the quality of the car. And certainly, I'm not taking a knock at this one. The sale's already done, so it's not like there's any damage done if someone, watches this and says, hey, he's being, biased either way. I try to just be clear and remember this is for entertainment only. I'm just giving my opinions. If it helps you, great. Certainly the tires, I'd like to know the date code on those. If they did not post it, I don't think that they did. Probably going to have to end up swapping those out at some point if they're not new. And that's about it. A little bit of a hodgepodge, I'd say, of Lincoln updates. But again, if we go back here and we see $70,000 on April 23rd, $52,000 for a sedan. Again, a very, very strong price, even for the mild custom. And if we go back to me, this 66 Lincoln Continental convertible, in my humble opinion, this was a better buy at $56,000 versus the $70K for this one. To me, Baker's Auto Restoration, that's going to supersede, what I'm seeing here. And again, no slight. I know 63 is a very desirable year, so that's going to help drive that price to where it went. And then, of course, the gentleman that I've met a couple of times, Buck, his went to $28,000, did not sell. So we'll see what happens there. But rest assured, more to come, including, little sneak peek, this 61 Lincoln Continental convertible with the Elvis front plate. This car looks awesome. To me, I'm not going to go over much more than just saying this. To me, this looks like a really nice car. And if the other one went for the 70s, this car right here, in my opinion, should go for more. But we'll look at a full review in the next video. Stay tuned. Check out LincolnAddict.com if you want to find ways to listen to the podcast or pick up a shirt or sticker. I certainly appreciate the support. Stay on the rise, and more to come from Lincoln Addict. Thank you guys so much for the support. We out of here.